the third of 28 days, so make the most of time. Demanding that a proposed tariff hike be halted or at most limited to a 5% increase. In a television interview, the NLC spokesman Ben Tinubu said the union is not entirely opposed to a tariff hike. He explained how the strike will unfold. Mr. Oba said the NLC will begin with a peaceful rally, and if it fails to yield results, they will escalate their actions in a manner that remains reasonable and within the bounds of the law. He also criticized the NCC, that's the Nigeria Communication Commission, accusing it of prioritizing corporate interests over the welfare of citizens. So, are the demands of labor, organized labor, valid? So questions begging answers. And where do the sympathy of Nigerians lie? As much as we do not want higher cost, but is there an understanding of this movement? There have been reactions to this movement. It's supposed to be tomorrow. There have been engagements and meetings, and we'll get to find out where labor is at this time. But my guest is Mr. Alex Agwanwor. He is the NLC chairman for Rivers State. Good evening, Mr. Agwanwor. Thank you for joining us.
Good evening, sir, and good evening to all the listeners.
Okay. Can you hear me clearly?
I can hear clearly.
Okay, that's amazing. All right, so if all things remain the same or maintaining status quo, as people who like to speak English would say, we will have a protest tomorrow. Has the NLC changed its mind? Has there been any engagement to the contrary? Are there reasons why maybe it will not hold?
Okay, thank you very much. First of all, I want to thank you for having me here. You know, after the meeting we had last week, we came out that meeting and which community that all state councils become mobilized for a protest around on the 4th, which tomorrow. So as we're talking on Super State is concerned, we had our strike and set meeting on Friday last week. We have mobilized our members and everybody is ready for the protest tomorrow.
Okay.
As we're speaking right now, there's no counter directive to say the protest will not hold. I expect that to happen later. But for now, we're looking forward to the protest tomorrow. The reasons are very clear. Currently, Nigerians are going through a lot, and as workers, we are playing the pitch so much on our team. So the rate of increase in this tariff is something that for us is adding more injury to the roads on the out. There are a lot of policy that hardship on the workers and Nigerians at large. So these policies we are yet to move out of it, and this tariff hike is coming. And the government is not very willing to have is not very sensitive to look at the plight of Nigerians, what Nigerians are going through right now. So, but for us as workers, this is impacting directly on our daily income because of what we take on every day, our salary. And even though we negotiate a minimum wage, that for us is not easy enough, we are trying to manage. It does not warrant this kind of increase. Looking at if you want to be little things we are already managing. So for us, we see that in such forms of hike in telecommunication is going to come. We know that the pledges also. We also know what our own constitution. Because everybody today is telecommunication, information technology as the order of the day. Actually, in all aspects of life, we use telecommunication. Even the children today to adapt to, they download music and through internet to play for them in the class. So all these are comes with use of data, calls, and increasing it to 50%. It's something that for us is on a very high side. So I think we need to engage with the government and the Nigerian Communications Commission to see how this hike can be reduced to a minimal level. So Nigerians can manage. But at the level where they are like 50%, it is too much. And for us to say that we cannot, it's not acceptable. And we need to look at, there are major positions that the fact that they need to improve their infrastructure in terms of the upgrade their system, improve the rate of calls, or reach out to the rural community, rural areas. But nevertheless, they cannot say that that we are operating without profit all this while. Even though the profit margin is not what they expected, they don't maintain the expectation. But they cannot be at the detriment of the users, at the detriment of the consumers, which is the losses. So we are really against it, and we condemn the action of the Black Communication Commission for going out to agree that 50% time. Because we have prioritized the profit marginalization of the telecommunication companies and further than the masses. You know, the profit margin of the telecommunication companies are more important than the welfare of the masses, which is totally condemnable and unacceptable. So for us, we are saying no to this, and that's why we are going for this process tomorrow. We want to call the attention of the government, not the stakeholders. We should call the FCC order to immediately that increase, and let us engage and see what is possible as an increase for the Telecom Tariff. So that's our position.
Okay. Well, I naturally have more questions for you, but we are at the point where we need to take a break. After the break, we have some more conversations. Please stay with us. At 92.3 Nigeria Info, Sam Oracle Chinedu here. And I still have my guest on the phone with me, Mr. Alex Agwanwor, who's the NLC chairman for Rivers State. Welcome back, Mr. Agwanwor. Hello?
Okay, yeah.
Are you there?
Hello, sir.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much for being there. Now, you were talking about the protest proposed for tomorrow. You said it's still holding. You also said the reason for which the protest still exists, and that is that there is a proposed 50% increase in Telecom Tariff hike. You said you blame the government and the NCC. That's a major part of what you shared before the break. Now, Mr. Agwanwor, for a balance, or for those who might be arguing against the protest, the position they hold, their argument is that in other countries that we like to compare ourselves to, where telecom tariffs are lower, the government provides some things for the telcos. The government provides security. The government provides basic amenities and other things. But here in Nigeria, and this is the argument, by the way, the telecom companies have to provide their own electricity, in some cases, their own security and all of that. So because the government, it has to tell on the consumers. How would you respond to this?
I think that narrative is totally wrong. Because when you go to those countries too, we saw that most of the public places, we have a free telecommunication system all over the places. And we have travel across some countries, which they will also be comparing to. Before I had the public Wi-Fi everywhere, where citizens will need to begin to buy data in those areas, or they have their data in those areas. But where are those data citizens in Nigeria? So, you see, at the end of the day, everything they must board all the expenses. That's telecom in Nigeria. And most of the documents of the public places, the one side they are all restricted. And in terms of the cost, you see, the costs are very minimal compared. So in Nigeria, so if the telecom companies are building such arguments, then what are our government done to this? So that's why we are only the FCC responsible, because they are the government regulators. So they know what to do, and they are not done well on their own part, and they can't shift the burden to the masses. So they can't begin to give those directives. It's not acceptable. Nigerian people need to be treated fairly. Nigerian people need to be also be seen as people have a government that's responsible for their welfare. So for us, those directives is not acceptable. There's also facilities. Then is it a facility of the masses to provide facilities for the telecom companies? It's not a government. We are also in in this country. So what are those facilities for? So I don't see any reason why this establishment should be shifted to the masses. So these directives are not correct. I mean, I totally agree with it.
All right. Now, the NLC says if there should be an increase, it shouldn't go beyond 5%. How did you come about this percentage? Why 5%?
What is our proposal? That's to show them that we sympathize with them, that because of like I said, the government have not only done their own part and the FCC, it's also providing some of the facilities or technology environment for them. So we can give them a bridge of 5% as an increase, but not 50%.
Okay.
This is the president.
All right. Now, we understand that the House of Reps Committee on Communications says it is interfacing with the leadership of the NLC. I'm not quite sure if that's happening now or it has happened. What is the update on that meeting?
That meeting is supposed to kick off by 5 p.m.
Okay.
And we are playing up to monitor the meeting from our area.
All right.
So whatever the outcome of that meeting, we also take it.
Okay.
We have from us.
I'm sure we'll have conversations as to the outcome of that. Finally, Mr. Agwanwor, there are conversations around, and I've personally shared this sentiment, if you may, about the effectiveness of protest. This is not the first protest that Labour is carrying out, but people would argue that it's not as effective as it should be in driving policy change and influencing decision making. If this is the case, why is protests, I don't want to say the only option available to Labour, but considering that you've had a fair share of success and failure with this strategy, why are you still holding on to protests as a means to drive the point home?
Well, the masses, people, they have the opinion. But as workers, I think that most protests have been happened. For me, since the emergence of our Congress President, Collegial General, in our time, so that was not concerned. From the senior utility, so I'm not having any protests that have not given me any kind of dividends. All our protests have been very successful, and we are able to achieve placement. We are not achieve 100%, but we achieve. I'm not talking about time. I'm not count. Mention any protest at all. I will tell you what we achieve. Because some people, because of lack of information, they can begin to use those sentiments. But mention any protest at all. Even as a talking, I will tell you what we achieve in that protest.
Okay.
I will tell you.
The protest for minimum wage.
Anyone, I will tell you.
Yes, the protest for minimum wage. Would you consider that a success or a failure?
It's a success. We have a minimum wage of 100% increase. Minimum wage of 30,000 naira. We protested a lot of actions that got us 70,000 naira minimum wage. From 30 to 70,000 naira is more than 70%.
Yes, there was an increase, of course. Yes, indeed. I can't pretend that we don't know there was an increase. But in line with the economic realities and how it would affect, the workers, the figure that was settled for did not make much of a difference. Don't you agree?
Well, the economic reality is not does not have to do with whether you achieve or not. The good thing is that this protest, what was the outcome? You are where you are before, or you need to work out to somewhere.
Okay.
We consider that the minimum wage is not enough. We wanted an increase. And we got 70%. So it's a success.
All right.
So there is no how you go to negotiation table and want to achieve 100%.
Okay.
Negotiation is a win-win situation. You can't win it all. You can't. If you have not lived out to it all or win out to it all. So in all, you win or you lose. But the thing is that you made a progress. There was a success.
All right.
Yes, we had a more expectation than 70,000 naira. But for the fact that we're able to move our workers minimum wage from 30 to 70, for us, it's started as an achievement.
All right. Well, thank you, Mr. Agwanwor. I'm supposed to have more questions for you, but this is a developing story. And I'm glad you said there's a meeting for 5 p.m. So hopefully we get the outcome of that meeting and further have this conversation. Thank you very much for your time, sir.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
All right. Always a pleasure. Conversations there with the NLC chairperson for River State. There is supposed to be a protest tomorrow, and this is against the proposed telecom tariff hike. The NCC approved 50%, and Labour is saying, no, we cannot have that. It's too high. It will not be fair on Nigerians. And so we're waiting. Hopefully, there is a resolution that works for everyone from that meeting this evening. And if there's a protest tomorrow, then negotiations obviously broke down. Now, my question for you is about the effectiveness. How effective have protests been in driving policy changes and influencing decision-making? Is this a strategy that you can trust? And there are also questions around opposition political parties championing protest, because some experts have said that they believe that the frequent protests by the NLC against bad government policies are due to the absence of strong opposition political parties. In other words, it's the PDP and the Labour parties and every party who is not at the helm of affairs that should be championing this protest. But the fact that Nigeria lacks strong opposition political parties, that's why the NLC is at the forefront of this. Do you agree with that statement? They said this while supporting NLC's planned nationwide protest against a 50% increase in telecom tariffs. Executive Director of People's Rights Organization, Chris Nwadibo, told correspondents to Ibiruwari that the protest proves that the NLC is the only group standing up against bad government policies. Do you agree with this position? I should play that and then take your calls.
I can say categorically that Labour's call for protesting against the contemplated or the planned increase of communication costs is justified. It appears now the only lonely voice now in Nigeria in terms of opposition or in terms of alternative voice is Nigerian Labour Congress. I can guarantee you that this planned nationwide protest is justified and it will be supported by all and sundry.
All right. So I'd like to hear your thoughts. 0817-923-0002. 0817-923-0003. I've had conversations with Mr. Agwanwor. And my questions for you: how effective have protests been in driving policy changes and influencing decision making? And do you agree with the statement that it is the absence of strong opposition that has led the NLC to lead these kinds of protests? Call me and tell me. And please turn off your radio as you call. It's very important. We're live on Facebook and Twitter at Nigeria Info PH on all platforms. So you can watch, listen, and drop your comments. Oh, let's see. We begin at the beginning. I think I should have... Well, it's visible because it's in good shape with majority of... The economic situation is biting on a daily basis. Telehike is... I'm not sure what this is for. Uncalled for. Oh, okay. At the moment, let telehike be reversed. Juanita Clinton West says. And Ike still on WhatsApp says, where was NLC rather, when electricity bill was increased indiscriminately? We're not saying you are wrong in this protest, but do the same for electricity. Okay. Ike from Eneka says, and he believes that the NLC might be compromised. River State workers are seeing reduction in their salaries without being aware of the reason for the deductions, especially as workers cannot reach labor leaders easily. Joseph from Gokana says. Okay. Hello. Good evening.
Yeah, good evening.
Good evening. What's your name?
From that time, Labour proposed to go on strike last year, 2024. At the end, no one was achieved. Then we'll talk about this very particular one now. And the intention is for them to have meeting at 5 o'clock. Let me assure you that after the purpose and objective of this protest or strike will be defeated after the meeting this evening. By tomorrow morning, they will tell us that they have called off their intention or they have planned to go for strike.
Okonkwo.
So what is the need of focusing and depending on labor? The whole thing is that the citizens should keep quiet for the sufferings to continue. Thank you.
Okonkwo, hold on. Do you believe that a lack of strong opposition has led Labour to lead this protest?
Yes, I believe that. And the reason is that even if we were to have strong opposition, people would have misinterpreted it and they would have called it bewitching the current government or demarcating the current president or the current government.
Okay.
So that is why the oppositions are not interested to fight against the current government.
All right. Thank you very much. Well, if we're going by your position, if the opposition is scared that they will be tagged witch hunters simply because they are speaking truth to power, then that just might prove the point that they are not a strong opposition, because calling of names, that should be the least of anybody's problems. Now, we have comments on Facebook, and I'm about to take them. King Adedeji says, the inefficiency of the government is what Nigerians are paying for. Okay. And Ijana Anderson, this is what always happens when the government fails to understand the basic needs of the common man. It's a pity. Rockunma says, make them go rest, I beg. Okay. And Benjamin 817-923-0000. Drop your comments. Watch rather and drop your comments. Hello. Good evening. Good evening. What's your name? Oh, go ahead.
It's not just for their union alone. It's something that concerns everybody. So I think we citizens have a major role to play. I tell you, it's not about labor.
Okay.
In as much as I believe labor have fought for their workers, and we citizens, we have our own right to put up our demand. Must we depend on labor at every time?
Okay, let me ask you a question.
Whatever government throws at us. Thank you.
Hold on. I have a question. Oh my goodness. Okay. Well, I'll have to keep that question to myself. Onyekachi is on the phone. Good evening, Onyekachi.
Evening.
Let's go ahead.
Really, the telecom to me is high. I know that it will pay their their workers, but really it's high. And I will not tell anyone to tell the NLC not to protest, because for them not to protest from the beginning of the day, we said election was not okay. That's why what's happening is happening now. Because if they protested the very first day that this is not who will vote or whatever, I don't think that what is happening today in Nigeria will happen. So they should protest. Since they don't want the telecom to die, they should protest. They should do it. Nobody should stop them.
Okay.
Because stopping them have made us, suffer in Nigeria. Because I heard one of the NLC chairman saying that when they wanted to protest in the time of presidential election, and the people called and said they should not, they should do this, they should not, they should just have patience, they will see the president will do more, this, that. But today we are passing the trends. So if they want to protest, let them protest.
Okay.
Because the opposition, I would say it, they are weak. Because there are a lot of problems in the side of the opposition. So
right.
the NLC should go forward and do what they need to do for Nigerians. God bless us all.
Thank you very much, Onyekachi. Back to WhatsApp. Hello, Sam. NLC is shying away from their duties. They should protest against federal government who promised them during wage negotiation that if they take 70K, they will what? No more increase in everything. The same FG approved the increase for telco in Nigeria. So why protest against the business entities that try to survive in the harsh economy? Emmanuel from Iwofe. Thank you, Emmanuel. Greetings. NLC is coming too late. The 50% increase has already been going on. So saying they will protest is neither here nor there. Augustine Aaron, whether or not it has started, if the protest is effective, it can be reversed. Good evening. The minimum wage has not been implemented. What federal government is paying is 40K, flat rate to all civil servants. Okay, so if you are a civil servant, you'd like to confirm or refute that, please reach out. Protest has never changed government policies. Hence, I urge them to dialogue with federal government to sort things out instead of carrying out a protest that does not yield any fruitful results. Waike Odinaka says on WhatsApp. Good afternoon. Since Labour became a political party, we lost the people's voice. Labour has always been fighting for its cause rather than for the people. And the main purpose for Labour has been defeated. Momo Farouk from Agwanwor says. And the mayor says when pump price was increased, which eroded the 70,000 naira minimum wage, where was the Labour Union? There are speculations making the rounds that they are seeking for financial inducement. We have lost trust in them. And Sunday says, okay. All right. Well, thank you very much for that. Let's see, a few comments on Facebook, and we wrap up the conversation. Amity Prince says, a welcome development if NLC will be serious. Emmanuel Swala says, what about electricity hike? This government is not doing well. I'm rephrasing. And Daniel says, nothing comes out of NLC strikes. We're paying for what we refused to stop years back due to long-throat citizens. All right, 2 minutes left for us to wrap this up. Are protests supposed to work? Yes, it's a form of advocacy. If and when you find a policy as a Nigerian that you're not comfortable with, there are ways of reaching out to power and stating that it is unacceptable. Dialogue and many things on the table. But protest seems to be the only strategy that we deploy. How effective has it been? Well, maybe, I don't know, 50-50. We'll have to have an analysis of the data to come to a logical conclusion. But the point is, it's important that as Nigerians, we have channels to air our displeasure. Whether or not you can get it, it is important that you can speak truth to power and join forces. Does this show that the opposition is weak? I think I agree with the experts. Because the tariff hike is going to affect everyone. We all use our phones. We all communicate. It's not just the business of labor. So it is important for a healthy democracy that there are those in power and there are those speaking against the policies of those in power. Until we get there, have a viable opposition and a system that works, shows like Hard Facts that highlights the problems will continue to exist. And people like Samuel Opportunity will always have a job because there will be a problem to talk about. Thank you.